Today, we're going to be talking about how to create motivation. Now, the first thing that I want to say is motivation isn't required to get things done. I know a lot of times we start to think like, if I were feeling motivated, then I would do the thing. But it's also nice to have motivation, and motivation is something that we can create. And so today, that's what we're going to be talking about. So, the number one way that I get motivated to achieve my goals, to take action, is by going to the end result. So, I think about like, okay, what is it that I want to create? Now, when you go there, I want you to think about like, if anything were possible, what would you create? What would be fun? What would be inspiring? What would you like to do? I want you to kind of stay away from like what I should do, what I have to do, what I'm supposed to do. I want you to think about like, what do I want to do? And then when you have that, I want you to start practicing believing that it's possible. Like, what would it be like when I've created this result? How would it feel when I have created this result? What would I be thinking about me? What would I be thinking about my life? How would this feel? Because when you start to really believe that it's going to happen, you're going to be so much more motivated to achieve the goal. But when we don't believe that it's going to happen, we're not as motivated to do it because the brain will often tell us, like, well, there's no point. Like, we're not going to hit it anyway. So why do this thing when it feels hard? Second thing that I like to do is get inspired by myself taking action. Like, I am so proud of the content that I create on the podcast, how I show up to it, what I get to create, what I get to do. So then when it's time to create my podcast, like I can think about that to generate that motivation. Like, I'm so proud of you for posting an episode every day. I'm so proud of the content that I'm creating. So I really like to celebrate the action that I'm taking and the way that I'm doing that. Because when I do that, I'm more motivated to keep going. Because I want you to imagine if I recorded the podcast and then I said to myself, oh, that was so terrible. That's awful. You're not doing this right. Like, I wouldn't be that motivated to keep going. So celebrating can create more motivation to keep going. And the third thing I like to do is think about the person I'm becoming. Even if I don't achieve the result, who am I becoming at the attempt of going after it? Because when I start to get excited about becoming that person, it's okay if things aren't working out. It's okay if there's this failure. It's okay if things aren't happening because I'm becoming the person that I want to become regardless if I achieve the result or not. So that's three ways to create motivation. So from here, look at these three options and figure out, what do you want to implement today? How could you just start to bring some of these things that we talked about into action? How could you believe in your goal? How could you be proud of the action you're taking? How could you get excited about the person you're becoming and start practicing those things? And if you're interested in creating more commitment, which does include creating motivation, because we want to be committed to doing the thing that we want to do, and it's with or without the motivation. So we're going to talk about how to create the motivation, but when it's just not happening, how to still show up for yourself. Then go to createcommitment.com to sign up for the waitlist for my course, How to Create Commitment.